All right, ladies and gentlemen, time to continue with our Module 5 notes. Today we're going to be taking a look, well, please make sure you've got your title and your name on there first of all. Today we're going to be taking a look at Lesson 5-14, Problem solving with fractional, we're going to be dealing with fractions, problem solving with fractional lengths. So we're going to continue working with area, but the area problems that we're going to, area problem that we're going to work on right now is going to have fractional lengths. We're going to be dealing with fractions and mixed numbers when we multiply. Go ahead and put our Roman numeral on here. Got a 10. Now we're not quite adding 5, we're adding 1 less than 5. So 10 and 1 less than 5, there's our 14. 10 plus 4. Roman numerals are fun, but you can see why we don't use them for everything. They get a little complicated after a while. All right, here is our example for today. Excuse me, I am going to ask you to write it down. So if you need to pause the video to make sure you're copying it, go ahead. I tried to shorten it a little bit. This comes from the homework. Okay. So we have A plus glass. We have a glass company. A plus glass is making windows. A plus glass is making windows for a new house. They must make the following, basically. They must make the following. Okay, A plus glass is making windows for a new house. This is what they have to make. They have to make 15 windows with these measurements. 15 windows that are 4 3/4 feet long and 3 3/5 feet wide. Okay. So we have one set of dimensions, one set of measurements, 4 3/4 feet by 3 3/5 feet. And they need to make 15 of those. They're also going to make 7 windows with these measurements, with these dimensions. 2 4/5 feet long and 6 1/2 feet wide. So we know we've got a glass company that's going to be making some windows. They're going to make 15 windows of one type and 7 windows that are a slightly different type. Okay? So the question is how many square feet of glass, will they need? If they're going to make all these windows, how much glass do they need? Okay. Now before we dive in, because we are dealing with some fractional lengths and we're going to do some big work today, I'll show you. But it's a very basic question that it's asking. If they have to make this many windows that are this size, this many windows that are that size, how can we use that information to figure out how much glass they will need altogether? If I could figure out how much glass one of these windows needs, I could just multiply it by 15 to get all the windows. If I could figure out how much glass this kind of window needs, I can multiply that by 7 to figure out how much glass for those windows. Then I could take those two numbers and add them together. This is what we're going to do today, and I want to make sure I line it up, lay it out real clearly before we start. Find the area of one of these windows, then multiply by 15. Find the area of one of these windows, multiply by 7. Take those two numbers, add them together. That'll give us the complete square footage of glass. Okay. Now we've taken about 5 minutes to set this thing up. Let's go ahead and actually dive in and get started. I'm going to put a little kind of squiggly line here to separate the problem from our first section. Okay. You know me, I love to draw the rectangles, so we'll go ahead and we'll do that. We're not worried about making this thing perfect. I just want to label and see what one of these windows would look like. Length, 4 3/4. Now, I'm going to take a second and remind you to be very careful when you're copying things from your own work and from the textbook. I will tell you folks, I messed this up. I was super embarrassed when I was preparing my original notes. I goofed this up. I copied this wrong. I did all my work, and it was wrong because I made this one little error. And it's super frustrating, but I'm kind of glad I did because I want to be able to talk with you about it. We want to make sure when we're copying that we're super careful. 3 3/5. 3 3/5. And I'm going to have to copy it again because now that I have my rectangle, my window, remember that's this window right here. Draw an arrow since I love arrows so much. There we go. Okay. I have to find the area of this window. And I want you to remember, area is length times width. We've done a few different things showing different ways to visualize, but really we just multiply. Okay. 4 3/4, there's our length, times our width, which again I'm going to make sure I copy correctly, 3 3/5. I put something else last time. Okay. Now, 4 3/4 times 3 3/5. I'm going to go through this a little more quickly because we've practiced this kind of multiplication in the past. If you need to review it, let me know. There are different resources we can practice. But I'm going to go a little fast. We're going to turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions. 4 times 4 is 16, 17, 18, 19 fourths. 5 times 3 is 15, 16, 17, 18. Again, I know I'm going real fast. I'm going to have to go quickly through some long division in a minute here too. So if you need to pause the video and understand what's going on, please do that. If you have a question, please let me know. 19 fourths times 18 fifths. I can try to cross cancel. 19 and 5 aren't going to be very helpful. But 18 and 4 do share a common factor. I can divide both of them by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Now when I multiply straight across, 19 times 9 is 171. The denominators are a little easier. 2 times 5 is 10. Now I can tell you what this would be as a mixed number. Normally I would ask you to turn it into a mixed number. But remember, we have another step to go. We need to figure out what 15 of these things would look like. How much glass that would be if I had 15 windows of this size. Now again, I'll go ahead and change it. This is the same as 17 1/10 square feet. But really, that's not even necessary because, again, I'm going to go down here and say, okay, I've got 15 of these windows. And each window is 17 1/10 feet square. The first thing I'm going to have to do is turn this back into an improper fraction. So what was the point of that? All right. 15 becomes 15 over 1. 17 1/10, we already know, becomes 171 over 10. I can do a little cross-canceling. 15 and 10 share a common factor. They can both be divided by 5. So I will do that. Divide by 5, and you get 3. 10 divided by 5 gives you 2. And when you multiply this monstrosity, 3 times 171 gives you 513. And then again, the denominator feels bad for us and makes it easy. 1 times 2 is 2. Now, our video would be very long if I showed you how to do the long division, so I'm going to trust that you remember. We divide 513 divided by 2. And when we do that, our final answer is 256. I'm running out of paper. 256 and a half. 15 windows with these measurements would require 256 and a half square feet of glass. We are making progress. We know how much that first type of window will need. Let's figure out what the second window will need. The process is going to be identical. The only difference is this time the length is shorter than the width. That's not usually how we do it, but whatever. Not drawn to scale. Let's do our next window. This one is 2 4/5 feet long. I'm being careful to copy that down as closely as possible. 6.5 feet wide. And we'll dive right in. Area equals length. There's the length in this case, times width. Okay. 2 4/5 times 6.5. Turning this into improper fractions, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14 over 5. The denominator just stays what it was before. 6.5, well, 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. Halves now, 13 over 2. We can do a little cross-canceling here as well. 14 and 2 divide evenly by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 7 times 13 is 91. Again, I know I'm going quickly through that part. 5 times 1 is 5. Once again, frankly, not necessary, but I like to turn it into the mixed number so that you can get a better idea. Right here, these windows, they're going to take 18 1/5 square feet of glass. So, again, drawing an arrow because I love them. These windows right here, the 2 4 feet, 2 4/5 of a foot, excuse me, by 6.5 feet. Each of those windows, every single one, is going to be 18 1/5 square feet. We have 7 of those. 7 of those. 7 times 18 1/5. This one's a long one. Like, yeah, Mr. Landre, we picked up on that. All right, turn these into improper fractions so we can multiply them more easily. 7 over 1. Remember, a whole number just becomes itself over 1. 18 1/5, we already know what that is. 91 over 5. Now, unfortunately, there is no cross-canceling we can do here. 1 and 91 don't share any useful common factors. 7 and 5 don't share any. We're just going to have to multiply across. 7 times 91 is 637. Again, I'm blasting through. If you're not sure why 7 times 91 works out this way, pause the video. Write it out on this paper or on another sheet. Multiply 7 times 91. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 9. Okay. 1 times 5, I think you probably can do without the scratch paper. There we go. Now, we'll turn this into a mixed number, excuse me. Remember, you're going to divide 637 divided by 5. If you do that correctly, you should get 127 and 2 little fifths, a remainder of 2, 2 fifths left over. So now we know how much glass we need for the first type of window. We know how much glass we need for the second type of window. So it's time to finish this. I'm going to move my camera down a little bit. There we go. Okay. So let's do, sorry, trying to make sure it's on there even. Let's do one more little thing to squiggle to separate it out from our final bit of work. We're going to take 256 and 1/2 square feet. Those are the first type of window. We're going to add that to 127 and 2/5 square feet of window, of glass. I'm double checking to make sure that I copied everything down correctly. Looks pretty good. So let's add this thing together. And I'm giving myself a little extra space over here because, of course, the fractions have different denominators. Why wouldn't they? 1/2, 2/5. So 2 and 5, I have to think of a common multiple, a common denominator. And when I see 2 and 5, that usually makes me think 10. They both go into 10. Okay. 2 times 5 gives me 10. So I'll multiply this top by the same thing. 1 times 5. There we go. 5 times, well, that's 2. 5 times 2 makes 10. So 2 times 2, remember the top gets the same thing, 4/10. 5/10 plus 4/10. 5 plus 4 is 9/10. Okay, that's not terrible. 6 plus 7 is 13. We'll have to carry the 1. 5 plus 2 is 7. Plus 1 more is 8. And 2 plus 1 is 3. So, our final answer. They will need 383 and 9/10 feet squared, square feet of glass. That is our answer. Folks, I appreciate your patience. I know that was a long one, but we have to make sure we practice longer problems like this so you're prepared for them, not only on classroom tests, but on state tests and in real life. Because again, as you get older, as you do more complicated projects around the house or you're preparing different things, this is kind of what the problems will look like. All right, we're coming up on an even 20 minutes, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you again, folks. If you have any questions, bring them to class. I'll see you next time.